The letter trembled in my hands as I read it for the third time, my heart pounding against my ribs. Someone knew my secret. Someone had been watching me. If your father discovers what you've been doing behind his back, everything you've worked for will crumble. Be careful, Bailey. No signature, just those two sentences typed in plain black text, left on my desk during advanced biology. My name is Bailey, and I've spent the last 3 years living a double life. By day, I'm the dutiful daughter working at my father's friend's accounting firm. By night, I'm pursuing my real dream, becoming a doctor. Earth to Bailey. Yasmin waved her hand in front of my face, snapping me back to reality. We were sitting in the campus coffee shop, and I'd completely zoned out. That's the 5th time you've read that note. You're going to wear holes in it. I can't help it, I said, folding the paper and tucking it into my jacket pocket. If Dad finds out about med school... He'll what? Ground you? You're 25, girl. I stirred my cold coffee. He'll cut me off completely. You don't know him like I do. Bailey Tucker, future doctor, afraid of her daddy. Yasmin raised an eyebrow. The same Bailey who aced organic chemistry while working 40 hours a week. That's different. The alarm on my phone cut me off. Shit, I'm late for work. I grabbed my bag and rushed out, nearly colliding with someone at the door. The autumn air hit my face as I speed-walked 6 blocks to Morton and Associates. Another thrilling day of data entry awaited me. You're 3 minutes late, Karen, my supervisor, announced as I rushed to my cubicle. Sorry, traffic was... Save it. Your father called earlier. He wants you to join him for dinner tonight. My stomach dropped. Tonight? Did he say why? Karen shrugged and walked away, leaving me to spiral into panic. Dad never asked me to dinner unless he had something specific to discuss. The last time was when he'd tried to set me up with his golf buddy's son. The workday crawled by. At 5:30, I packed up and headed to my father's house, the same house I'd grown up in after Mum died, the same house where he'd first crushed my dreams of medical school. It's impractical, he'd said. Do you know how many people wash out of med school? How many end up with crushing debt and nothing to show for it? I won't watch you throw your life away on a fantasy. I pulled into the driveway, noting the lights were already on. Dad's Mercedes sat in its usual spot. I took a deep breath and walked to the door. Bailey, he greeted me with his usual stern expression. You're late. Sorry, I had to finish some work. Never mind that. He gestured to the dining room. Dinner's getting cold. We sat across from each other, the silence broken only by the clinking of cutlery against plates. Finally he spoke. Susan told me something interesting today. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. Susan MacDonald, his longtime friend and confidant. Had she seen me at the university? She said she saw you leaving the medical building at State last week. His eyes locked onto mine. Care to explain? I set my fork down, my appetite gone. I was dropping something off for a friend. Don't lie to me, Bailey. He pushed his plate away. I raised you better than that. Did you? The words slipped out before I could stop them. You raised me to give up on my dreams because they didn't fit your plan. His face reddened. I raised you to be practical, to understand that life isn't some fairy tale where I have to go. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. I have class in 30 minutes. Class? He stood too, his voice rising. What class? Advanced biology. I grabbed my bag, and after that I have anatomy and physiology. I've been taking night classes for 3 years, Dad, and guess what? I'm at the top of my class. The silence that followed was deafening. Then I found the anonymous note in my pocket and slapped it on the table. Whoever wrote this was right about one thing. I have been hiding this from you. But they were wrong about something else. I headed for the door. Nothing you do can make me give up this time. Nothing. I left him standing there, my hands shaking as I started my car. As I drove toward campus, my phone buzzed with a text from Yasmin. You okay? Need backup? I smiled despite everything. No, I typed back, but I might need a new place to live. The campus lights beckoned ahead of me, and for the first time in years, I felt truly free. The secret was out. Now the real fight could begin. You did what? Yasmin nearly spilled her coffee across the diner table. Girl, I said stand up to him, not nuke your entire life. 3 days had passed since my confrontation with Dad. I'd been crashing on Yasmin's couch, avoiding his calls, and trying to keep my world from completely unraveling. What choice did I have? I picked at my untouched pancakes. He was going to find out eventually. Sure, but maybe with a little more finesse. Yasmin reached across the table and grabbed my hand. Have you checked your bank account? I nodded grimly. Frozen, just like I expected. That vindictive old miss? A sharp voice interrupted us. Karen from work stood by our table, her arms crossed. Bailey, you haven't been to work in 3 days. Your father called the office. Karen, Save it. Clear out your desk by 5 today. She turned on her heel and walked away, leaving a wake of whispers from nearby tables. Yasmin whistled low. Well, there goes your day job. I knew this was coming. I pulled out my phone and showed her the dozen missed calls from Dad. He's trying to smoke me out, cut off my resources until I come crawling back. What are you going to do? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Your father isn't the only one disappointed in your choices. Watch your back. Another one. Yasmin leaned over to read it. Okay, this is getting creepy. You need to tell someone. Tell who? The police? Help. Someone's sending me vaguely threatening texts about my daddy issues? The bell above the diner door chimed and I froze. Dad walked in, scanning the room. I ducked down, but it was too late. He'd spotted me. Bailey, his voice carried across the diner. We need to talk. I have nothing to say to you. I grabbed my bag, but he blocked my exit from the booth. You're being childish. This little rebellion needs to stop. Rebellion? I stood up, my voice rising. I'm pursuing my dream. The same dream I've had since I was 12 years old, watching Mom waste away because there weren't enough doctors who understood her condition. The diner fell silent. Dad's face paled. Don't bring your mother into this, he said quietly. Why not? She believed in me. She would have supported me. And look where believing in dreams got her. He slammed his hand on the table, making the dishes rattle. Dead at 42, leaving behind a daughter who thinks she can save the world. Yasmin stood up. Mr. Tucker, I think you should leave. Stay out of this, he snapped. You're part of the problem, encouraging her delusions. The only delusion, I said, gathering my courage, is thinking you can control me forever. I'm not giving up medical school. Not for you, not for anyone. I pushed past him, but he grabbed my arm. If you walk away now, don't expect any help from me. Ever. I stopped expecting help from you a long time ago. I yanked my arm free and hurried out of the diner, tears burning my eyes. Outside, I leaned against the wall, trying to catch my breath. My phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. Your father's right. You'll never make it. Some dreams should stay dreams. That's it, Yasmin said, coming up behind me. We're going to the campus security office. This harassment has to stop. Wait. I grabbed her arm. I need to get to class first. Professor Adams's neurology lecture starts in 20 minutes, and I can't miss it. He's reviewing material for next week's exam. Bailey, please, I need something normal right now. Something that makes sense. She sighed. Fine, but we're dealing with this afterward. We walked to campus together, Yasmin keeping up a steady stream of conversation to distract me. But as we approached the medical building, I saw something that made my blood run cold. Someone had spray painted across the building's entrance. Dreams die here. Okay, that's definitely not a coincidence, Yasmin said. I checked my phone again, seeing a missed call from Dad, but there was also a voicemail from an unknown number. With shaking hands, I played it. You think you're so smart, Bailey? You think you can just walk away from everything? Your father isn't the only one you've disappointed. Keep pushing, and you'll find out exactly how many enemies you've made. I deleted the message and straightened my shoulders. Come on, I've got a lecture to attend. Bailey, They want me to quit, to run away scared. I pushed open the building's door. Well, they clearly don't know me very well, but as I walked to class, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. And for the first time since this all began, I wondered if standing up to my father might cost me more than just his support. Miss Tucker, stay behind after class. Professor Adams' voice cut through the lecture hall as students packed up their belongings. I'd been struggling to focus all morning, the threatening messages weighing heavily on my mind. Now, as I approached his desk, I braced myself for bad news about my latest assignment. Your analysis of the cerebral cortex case study was exceptional, he said, surprising me. Have you considered research work? Research? I'm just trying to survive my classes, Professor. He smiled, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses. I have an opening in my lab. Paid position, 20 hours a week. Interested? My heart leaped. A paid position would solve my immediate financial crisis. But before I could answer, my phone buzzed with another anonymous text. Taking handouts now. Pathetic. Professor Adams noticed my expression change. Everything all right? Yes, just... I switched off my phone. Actually, no. Someone's been sending me threatening messages. They seem to know everything about my schedule, my classes. He frowned. Have you reported this? It's complicated. My father... Neil Tucker. He leaned back in his chair. He called me yesterday, you know, asked me to fail you out of my class. He what? Don't worry. I told him that's not how academia works. Professor Adams stood up. Come with me. I want to show you something. He led me to his research lab down the hall. The space was filled with sophisticated equipment, computer stations, and what looked like brain imaging displays. We're studying neural plasticity in trauma patients, he explained. The position would involve data analysis, lab work, and possibly co-authoring papers. Still interested? Yes, I said without hesitation. When can I start? Tomorrow, 8 a.m. sharp. He handed me a key card. Don't let anyone intimidate you out of your dreams, Bailey. Not even your father. I clutched the key card like a lifeline. Thank you, Professor. Call me Prince. Everyone does. Walking out of the building, I felt lighter than I had in days. Until I saw Susan MacDonald waiting by my car. Bailey, dear. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. We need to talk. I'm late for... Your father is worried sick. She stepped closer. He's not sleeping, barely eating. That's manipulation, and you know it. He's trying to protect you. She grabbed my arm. You don't know what failure in this field can do to someone. What it did to him. I pulled away. What are you talking about? Susan's face softened. He never told you. Your father. He was in medical school once. Before you were born. The world tilted slightly. That's impossible. He always said. He dropped out in his 3rd year. The pressure was too much. The debt. The stress. She shook her head. It nearly destroyed him. Your mother helped him rebuild his life. I leaned against my car, processing this revelation. Why didn't he tell me? Because he sees himself in you. The same drive, the same determination. She touched my shoulder gently. The same potential for heartbreak. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a photo message showing me entering Prince's lab with the caption, "Making deals with devils now." Who keeps sending these? I showed Susan the message. She glanced at it, her expression unreadable. Perhaps someone who cares about your well-being. Something in her tone made me look at her more closely. Susan, do you know who's sending these? She stepped back. Just think about what I said. About your father. Sometimes the people who seem to be standing in our way are actually trying to catch us when we fall. As she walked away, my phone buzzed one more time. Ask Prince Adams about his last research assistant. Ask him what really happened to her. I deleted the message and called Yasmin. You're not going to believe this, I said when she answered. I just got offered a research position with Professor Adams. That's amazing. When do you start? Tomorrow, but... I hesitated. Something weird is going on. Susan MacDonald just told me Dad used to be in medical school, and now I'm getting cryptic messages about Prince's last research assistant. Hold up, your dad was in med school. Plot twist. Yasmin, focus. Should I be worried about this job offer? Girl, someone's obviously trying to scare you away from your dreams. Don't let them win. She was right. I looked at the key card Prince had given me, then at the medical building where my future waited. I'm taking the job, I said firmly. That's my girl. Want me to come with you tomorrow? Moral support? No, I need to do this on my own. I started my car. But keep your phone on, just in case. As I drove away, I caught sight of Susan in my rearview mirror, watching me leave. Something told me the mystery of those messages was closer to home than I'd thought. But with a new job and a chance to prove myself, I couldn't back down now. Even if every step forward felt like walking into a trap. And here's my brilliant Sophia, already made junior partner at her firm. Aunt Linda beamed across the dinner table. Isn't that wonderful, Neil? I pushed my food around my plate, trying to ignore the proud smile on Dad's face as he nodded. The monthly family dinner had turned into another showcase of my cousin's achievements. Now that's a sensible career path, Dad said, his eyes sliding meaningfully toward me. No crazy dreams or unrealistic goals, just solid, practical choices. Sophia at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. Uncle Neil, Bailey's doing amazing things too. I heard she's working in a research lab now. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Temporary position, Dad muttered, until she comes to her senses. I set my fork down with a clatter. 3 weeks in, and we're already making breakthrough progress on neural plasticity in trauma patients. Prince says... Prince? Aunt Linda interrupted. Who's Prince? Professor Adams. Dad practically spat the name. Who seems to have forgotten appropriate professional boundaries? Speaking of boundaries, Susan chimed in from across the table. Did you ever look into what happened to his previous research assistant, Bailey? I gripped my water glass tightly. Nothing happened to her. She graduated and took a position at Johns Hopkins. That's the official story, Susan said quietly. But I heard... Enough. Dad stood up suddenly. Bailey, kitchen, now. I followed him, my hands shaking. In the kitchen, he turned on me with fury in his eyes. You're making a fool of yourself, he hissed, and worse, you're making a fool of me. By succeeding, by proving you wrong, by throwing away everything I tried to protect you from. He ran a hand through his graying hair. That Professor, Adams, he's using you. Using me, for what? To analyze brain scans, to help write groundbreaking research papers. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. I stepped closer. I know about medical school, Dad. I know you tried and failed. Susan told me everything. His face went pale. She had no right. Why didn't you tell me? My voice cracked. All these years, you let me think you just didn't believe in me. But really, you were just projecting your own failures. The sound of his hand hitting the counter made me jump. I was trying to save you from making my mistakes. What mistakes? I demanded. Following your dreams, having ambition, having pride, he shouted, thinking I could change the world. Do you know what that kind of failure does to you? How it hollows you out? Before I could respond, Susan appeared in the doorway. Neil, please, let me talk to her. Dad stormed out, leaving me alone with Susan. She closed the kitchen door softly. Bailey, there's something you need to know. She pulled out her phone. About Prince Adams. If you're going to show me more threatening messages. No. She pulled up an old news article. This is from 15 years ago. Prince Adams was involved in a research scandal at his previous university. Data manipulation, ethical violations. I skimmed the article, my stomach churning. These charges were dropped. Because the key witness disappeared, Susan took her phone back, his research assistant. That's not... Prince isn't like that. Are you sure? Have you noticed how he always stays late in the lab? How he asks you to work longer hours? How he's slowly isolating you from everyone else? I thought about the past 3 weeks. The late-night research sessions, the private meetings to discuss confidential findings. The way he suggested I focus less on my other classes and more on our research. He's just passionate about the work, I said, but doubt crept into my voice. Like he was passionate about his work 15 years ago? Susan touched my arm. Your father isn't trying to stop you from being a doctor, Bailey. He's trying to stop you from being destroyed by people who prey on ambitious young students. From the dining room, I heard Sophia's voice. Is everything okay in there? Fine, I called back, then turned to Susan. Why are you telling me this now? She hesitated. Because tomorrow, Prince is going to offer you a special research opportunity. Something that seems too good to be true. She squeezed my arm. And it will be. My phone buzzed. A message from Prince. Exciting breakthrough in the lab. Come in early tomorrow, 6 a.m. Don't tell anyone. Could be publication-worthy. Susan watched my face. He's already started, hasn't he? I deleted the message, my mind racing. I need some air. I rushed past the dining room, ignoring the calls from my family. Outside, the cool night air did nothing to calm my racing thoughts. Another buzz from my phone. Unknown number. Sometimes the devil wears a lab coat. I looked back at the house where I could see Susan watching me through the window. For the first time, I wondered if the threatening messages weren't threats at all. Maybe they were warnings. These results are remarkable, Bailey. Prince leaned over my shoulder, pointing at the brain scan on my computer screen. With data like this, we could revolutionize trauma treatment. It was 2 a.m., and we'd been in the lab for 18 hours straight. My eyes burned from staring at screens, and my third coffee sat cold and forgotten beside me. Something's not right with these numbers, I muttered, scrolling through the data set. The recovery rates are too perfect. Are you questioning my research methods? His tone shifted slightly. No, I rubbed my eyes. The statistical probability of every patient showing this level of improvement. Bailey, he pulled up a chair next to me. I'm about to tell you something exciting, but you have to promise absolute discretion. My conversation with Susan flashed through my mind. What kind of something? The National Institute of Health is reviewing our research next month. If they like what they see, we're looking at a multi-million-dollar grant. He smiled. And I want you to present our findings. I sat up straighter. Me? But I'm just a research assistant. You're much more than that. You're the future of neuroscience. He placed a hand on my shoulder. All you have to do is help me clean up these results a bit. The room seemed to tilt. Clean up? Just smooth out some statistical anomalies. Make the data more presentable. I stood up so quickly my chair rolled back. You want me to falsify research data? Such an ugly word. He frowned. I'm talking about presenting our findings in the most favorable light. For the greater good. The greater good? I laughed incredulously. You mean for your grant money? His expression hardened. Think carefully about what you're implying, Bailey. Your entire future could depend on this moment. Are the threatening messages from you too? I backed away from him. The warnings about my father? Don't be dramatic. I'm offering you an opportunity that most students would kill for. Like your last research assistant. The words tumbled out before I could stop them. Prince's face went completely blank. Who have you been talking to? I need to go. I grabbed my bag, but he stepped between me and the door. Bailey, be reasonable. Think about everything you've worked for. Your father already believes you'll fail. Do you want to prove him right? The room started spinning. Had it been spinning before? My vision blurred at the edges. What? I grabbed the desk for support. What did you put in my coffee? Just something to help you relax. Think clearly. His voice seemed to come from far away. When you wake up, you'll see things differently. I fumbled for my phone, but my fingers felt like they were made of lead. The last thing I saw was Prince's concerned face as the floor rushed up to meet me. I woke to bright lights and beeping machines. Yasmin sat beside my hospital bed, her mascara streaked from crying. Oh, thank God, she choked out. You've been out for 12 hours. Prince, I tried to sit up, but everything hurt. He drugged me. We know. A new voice came from the doorway. Dad stood there, looking older than I'd ever seen him. The police are looking for him, but he's gone, cleaned out his office and disappeared. How did you... Find you? Yasmin squeezed my hand. You managed to hit the emergency contact button on your phone before you passed out. It called both me and your dad. The lab security footage shows everything, Dad said, moving closer to my bed. Him putting something in your coffee, your confrontation, you collapsing. His voice broke. Bailey, I'm so sorry. I tried to warn you, to protect you, but I did it all wrong. The messages, I said suddenly. The warnings, that was you. He nodded. And Susan. We were trying to scare you away from him without revealing too much. I should have just told you the truth about my past, about what happened at my medical school. Mr. Tucker? A police officer appeared in the doorway. We need to take your daughter's statement. Wait, I called as Dad turned to leave. Stay, please. He sat down on the other side of my bed, taking my other hand. As I told the police everything, I felt the walls between us starting to crumble. My phone buzzed on the bedside table. One final message from an unknown number. Sometimes the people who seem to be hurting us are actually trying to save us. I looked at my father, seeing him clearly for the first time in years, not as an obstacle to my dreams, but as someone who'd faced his own demons and lost. Dad, I whispered, I think we need to talk, really talk. He nodded, tears in his eyes. Yes, sweetheart, we do. The monitors kept beeping steadily, marking the rhythm of a new beginning. I was exactly like you, Dad said, stirring his coffee. We sat in the hospital cafeteria, 2 days after the incident with Prince. Brilliant, determined, unstoppable. What happened? I asked, picking at my sandwich. I got in too deep. My research supervisor was manipulative, like Prince. He stared into his cup. He convinced me to help him fake results, said it was for funding, for the greater good. Did you do it? No, but by the time I gathered the courage to report him, the damage was done. He'd already spread rumors about my mental stability, my competence. Dad's hands trembled slightly. No one believed me. I lost everything, my reputation, my confidence, my future. And Mom? A small smile crossed his face. She was my nurse when I had my breakdown. She believed me when no one else would. The cafeteria buzzed with activity around us, but we sat in our own quiet bubble of truth. Why didn't you tell me this years ago? Because I was ashamed. He reached across the table, touching my hand. And terrified. When you started talking about medical school, all I could see was history repeating itself. Mr. Tucker, a detective approached our table. We have an update on the Adams case. Dad squeezed my hand before letting go. What did you find? 3 other universities, 3 other research assistants. The detective pulled out her notebook. All young women, all promising students. They either dropped out or transferred after working with him. And the one from 15 years ago? I asked. Found her. The detective's expression darkened. Living under a different name in Seattle, she's willing to testify about what really happened. My phone buzzed. The dean's office. I answered, putting it on speaker. Miss Tucker, in light of recent events, the university would like to offer you a full scholarship to complete your medical degree. Dad's eyes widened as I stammered. Thank you, but... Additionally, we'd like you to speak at next month's medical conference. Your experience could help protect other students. After I hung up, Dad sat back, shaking his head. Well, that's unexpected. Are you going to tell me not to do it? No. He smiled sadly. I'm going to tell you I'm proud of you. The words I'd waited years to hear hit me like a physical force. Tears welled up in my eyes. Dad. Bailey. Yasmin burst into the cafeteria. Turn on the news now. I pulled up the local news on my phone. The headline made my blood run cold. Disgraced professor attempts suicide after exposure of research fraud. Prince was found in a hotel room, Yasmin said breathlessly. He left a confession. Everything. The data manipulation, the drugging, all of it. The detective excused herself quickly, already on her phone. Dad watched me carefully. Are you okay? I don't know. I set my phone down. I wanted to prove myself, to show everyone I could succeed where you failed, but I almost fell into the same trap. The difference is, you were stronger than I was. He stood up. Come on, I want to show you something. We drove to our old house, to the attic I'd never been allowed to enter. Dad unlocked the door and pulled out a dusty box. Your mother's things, he explained, opening it. And this. He handed me a worn leather journal. Inside, in Mom's handwriting, were detailed notes about medical cases, treatments, research ideas. She never told you, Dad said softly, but she was studying to become a doctor too. Even while she was sick, she kept learning, kept dreaming. Why didn't she finish? The cancer spread too fast. He touched the journal gently. Her last wish was for you to have this when you were ready. I just wasn't ready to let go. My phone buzzed again. Another message from an unknown number. But this time, when I opened it, I smiled through my tears. Sometimes our greatest obstacles become our strongest supporters. Trust your journey. Susan. The conference, I said, looking up at Dad. Will you come? He hesitated. Are you sure you want me there? I'm sure I need you there. I clutched Mum's journal to my chest, not as an obstacle or a critic, but as my father. He pulled me into a hug, and for a moment I was a little girl again, safe in her father's arms. I'll be there, he whispered. Front row, as we stood in the attic, surrounded by Mom's memories and dreams, I realized something profound. Sometimes, the path to proving yourself isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. And sometimes, the people we're fighting against are actually fighting for us all along. 2 minutes until you're on, Miss Tucker. The conference coordinator adjusted my microphone. Are you ready? The auditorium buzzed with hundreds of medical professionals, students, and journalists. In the front row, Dad sat between Yasmin and Susan, all three giving me encouraging thumbs up. Ready as I'll ever be, I said, clutching Mom's journal like a talisman. The dean stepped up to the podium. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker has a unique perspective on ethics in medical research. Please welcome Bailey Tucker. The lights felt hot as I took the stage. My hands trembled as I set Mom's journal on the podium. 3 months ago, I began, my voice shaking slightly. I thought I knew exactly what success looked like. I thought it meant proving everyone wrong, especially my father. Dad shifted in his seat but maintained eye contact. I was working in a prestigious research lab, helping develop treatments for trauma patients. My supervisor was brilliant, respected. I took a deep breath. And a fraud. Murmurs rippled through the audience. But this isn't just about Prince Adams. It's about the pressure we put on students to succeed at any cost. It's about the fine line between ambition and destruction. I opened Mom's journal to a marked page. My mother wrote something here, just months before cancer took her life. She wrote, "Medicine isn't about being right, it's about doing right." I looked up at the audience. I almost forgot that lesson in my desperation to prove myself. The room was completely silent now. When Prince offered me the chance to clean up our research data, he wasn't just asking me to commit fraud. He was asking me to betray everything medicine stands for, everything my mother believed in. I saw tears in Dad's eyes as I continued. But there's another side to this story. While I was fighting against my father's attempts to stop my medical career, I didn't realize he was fighting his own battles, his own demons. Dad stood up suddenly, moving toward the stage. For a moment, I froze, thinking he was going to stop me. Instead, he walked up and stood beside me. My father was once a medical student too, I said, my voice stronger now. He faced the same pressures, the same temptations, but unlike me, he didn't have anyone to warn him, to protect him. Dad stepped to the microphone. I failed, he said simply. I let fear and shame silence me. and in trying to protect my daughter from my fate, I almost pushed her toward it. Gasps and whispers filled the room. This wasn't part of the planned presentation, but it felt right. The real breakthrough, I continued, isn't in neural plasticity or trauma treatment. It's in understanding that success isn't about proving people wrong. Sometimes it's about proving them right. Right to care, right to worry, right to protect. From the back of the auditorium, a commotion erupted. Police officers were escorting someone in. Prince Adams, in handcuffs. "Your former professor has agreed to make a statement," one of the officers announced. Prince looked haunted, broken. "Everything Bailey says is true. I falsified research at 3 universities. I manipulated students. He looked directly at me. "I betrayed everything medicine stands for." The audience erupted in chaos. Journalists rushed forward, cameras flashed, questions flew from all directions. Dad grabbed my hand. "You don't have to stay for this." "Yes, I do." I squared my shoulders. "For Mom, for you, for every student who might face this choice." As Prince was led away, I returned to the podium one last time. Today marks a new beginning in medical ethics enforcement, but more importantly, it marks a new understanding of success. True success isn't measured in publications or grants. It's measured in integrity, in courage, and sometimes, I smiled at Dad, in knowing when to trust the people who love you enough to stand in your way. The standing ovation was deafening. Yasmin was crying. Susan was beaming. But all I could see was Dad's face, proud, relieved, and finally at peace. As we left the stage, reporters swarmed us. "Miss Tucker, what's next for you?" I looked at Dad, who nodded encouragingly. "I'm going to finish medical school," I said firmly. "With my father's full support, and then I'm going to honor my mother's legacy by doing medicine right." Later, as we celebrated at our favorite diner, I received one final anonymous text. "Your mother would be so proud of both of you. S." I showed it to Dad, who smiled and pulled out an envelope. "Speaking of your mother," he said, sliding it across the table, "she left this for you, for when you finally found your way." Inside was a letter, and as I began to read, I realized that sometimes the longest journeys lead us right back home, to the truth that was waiting there all along. "Dear Bailey," I read aloud, my voice trembling as I held Mom's letter. Dad and I sat on our old porch swing, the same spot where I'd first told him I wanted to be a doctor. "If you're reading this, you've finally found your path." The evening air was warm, crickets chirping in the background. "I know the journey hasn't been easy," I continued reading. "Your father means well, but his fears run deep. Don't judge him too harshly. Sometimes the people who love us most protect us in all the wrong ways." Dad squeezed my hand but stayed silent. "I've watched you grow, seen your determination. You have my curiosity and your father's strength, even if he doesn't see it in himself. The medical world needs people like you, people who question, who challenge, who refuse to compromise their integrity." I paused, wiping tears. "There's more." "Keep reading," Dad whispered. "Neil," Mom's letter continued, addressing Dad directly. "By the time Bailey reads this, I hope you found the courage to share your story. Your failure wasn't in losing your medical career. It was in letting that loss define you. Our daughter needs your wisdom, not your fear." Dad's phone buzzed. He checked it and smiled sadly. "Prince Adams pleaded guilty. He's facing 10 years. "Good," I said, turning back to the letter. "But that's not the end of our story, is it?" "No." Dad stood up, walking to his car. He returned with a stack of papers. "This is..." I recognized the university letterhead. "What's this?" "My re-enrollment forms." He handed them to me. "For medical school." "Dad." I stared at him. "Are you serious?" "Your mother was right. I let fear define me." He sat back down. "But watching you stand up there today, speaking truth to power, I realized it's never too late to face your demons. But you're..." "Too old," he laughed. "I'll be the oldest student in class, sure, But maybe that's exactly what medical education needs. Someone who's seen both sides, who can help protect other students from predators like Prince. I looked back at Mum's letter, reading the final lines. Remember, Bailey, healing isn't just about fixing bodies. Sometimes it's about mending bridges, rebuilding trust, and finding strength in our scars. Love, Mum. She knew, I said softly. She knew we'd both need to heal. The porch light flickered on automatically as dusk settled. From inside, we could hear Yasmin and Susan setting up for dinner. I have something for you, too, I told Dad, pulling out a folded paper from my bag. My new research proposal. I want you to read it first. He opened it carefully. Neural trauma recovery in late-onset medical students. His eyes widened. Bailey, we'll be studying how older brains adapt to intensive learning. And yes, you'll be my first subject. I grinned. If you're brave enough. Partners, he held out his hand. Partners. I shook it firmly. But I want to add one more thing to the study. What's that? The impact of family support on academic success, starting with a father-daughter research team. Yasmin poked her head out the door. Dinner's ready. And Bailey, the dean's on the phone. Something about a grant proposal. Tell her I'll call back, I said, still holding Dad's hand. I'm in the middle of something more important. You know, Dad said as we stood up, your mother would love this plot twist. She planned it, I replied, holding up her letter. Right here in black and white. Sometimes the best revenge against our past isn't proving others wrong. It's proving ourselves right. Inside, Susan had set the table with Mom's old china, something we hadn't used since she died. As we gathered around, I noticed she'd placed Mom's framed medical school acceptance letter in the center. To new beginnings, Susan raised her glass, and to healing old wounds. To family, Yasmin added. To truth, Dad said, looking at me. I picked up my glass, feeling the weight of Mom's journal in my lap, Dad's enrollment papers beside me, and years of misunderstanding finally melting away. To doing right, I said, not just being right. As we clinked glasses, I realized that success wasn't in the grants, the publications, or even the degree. It was here, in this moment, where fear gave way to faith, where protection transformed into partnership, and where 2 generations of medical dreams could finally heal together. Mom would definitely love this plot twist,